All right, well, hello, hey, good afternoon, buenas tardes, everybody. It's me, Profesor Cañedo, and it's I know it's taking me a little bit of a while to get caught up with things. I'm kind of a little bit behind schedule in terms of getting some things updated for the class. But right now at this time, all of you are aware of which discussion groups you're in. So just check in the discussion board and find out. Check by your last name and alphabetical order. So for those of you in the first third of the alphabet, so that's roughly everybody from A to G, A to H. I forget what the cutoff letter was. You're in group one. Everyone that's in the middle of the pack, so to speak, of the alphabet, you're in group two. And then everybody, and I believe it was from P through Z, you're in group three. So you've all been set with a discussion groups. Just read my instructions in each of the first three forms, and any concerns or questions, definitely let me know. All right, but in this video, what I want to do for you guys this afternoon is, let's get a little bit more light in here. All right, there we go. I think that's a little bit better here. All right. Is say a few things about myself, find out who El Profesor is. And before I get to that, I just want to mention that normally when I make these introduction videos, they come up pretty lengthy in that maybe the first 10 minutes is about who El Profesor is, his interests, his background, what he likes, what he doesn't like, favorite foods, sports teams, blah, 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 all that fun stuff. And then the remaining 15, 20 minutes after that, then I get into more detail about the class. But I'm not going to do that for you guys today. What I'll do is I'll talk a little bit. I'll spend this entire video saying a few things about myself. And then as for the class itself, since I didn't make that many changes from the fall semester to the spring semester, I'll go and let you see the video I produced for the fall semester class. So even though the dates are changed, the dates are different, I'm talking about events happening around, say, Halloween. Yeah, around Halloween because because if I remember correctly, this class was actually from August to October, so it was one of those 8-week classes. But again, don't pay attention to those dates in this other video. I'll have that video coming up in time with tomorrow's announcement, the Thursday morning announcement. Again, just don't pay attention to the dates. Just focus in on the topics in terms of what the class is about, the assignments, the exams, the quizzes, all of that good stuff. So I'll set that up in more detail with tomorrow morning's announcement. But for this video, for these next 10, 12 minutes, let me say a few things about myself. Right now, all of you should be posting your introductions. So I'm wrapping up reading and responding to my Southwestern College introductions. That class started about a week ago, so I'm just now catching up and finishing up with their introductions. So once I finish up with them, then I'll start reading your introductions, and same for my Grossmont College classes, which started a couple days ago as well. All right, well, let's find out who El Profesor is. First off, my name is Profesor Cañedo, and I've been here at Mesa College since the 1999-2000 school year. My friend and colleague Mike Ornelas, he hired me back in 2000, and I've been pretty much here ever since. I do predominantly the 141A classes, this one, but I've done a lot of sections of 141B, especially online too. So every semester you'll find me in the schedule either doing 2 of 141A or 1 of 141A and 141B. And this semester just so happens that there's another section of 141A that I'll be working on in the second half of the semester. I should be doing I'm pretty confident that I'll have a section of 141B coming up in the fall. So if any of you want to take the 141B with me, then just stick around, watch the schedule for the fall semester, and I should be there. Right now, the department is actually moving toward adding more sections for the summer. So I used to do a lot of the summer classes before the budget mess of 2007, 2008. So if all goes well and more sections are added, then maybe there's a good chance I'll be doing one of the summer sections as well. So, but just keep track of the schedules once those are available in the next 2 or 3 months from now. All right. Besides Mesa College, I also do a lot of work, as I mentioned, at Southwestern College. So I've been there at Southwestern off and on since 1997, 98. I've done exclusively online since the 2010, the fall 2010 semester. Also, there at Mexican American Studies 141 and 142, which is the equivalent of the 141A and B here. I've also done a few of the U.S. classes back in the early early 2000s. But for the most part, I've done exclusively the Mexican American classes for the past 4 or 5 years. And I also do a lot of stuff at Grossmont College, so my focus at Grossmont is the United States classes. This semester I have sections of the modern United States and the history of California class. Usually alternate between the modern and the early sections from spring to fall and vice versa, up, down, left, and right, all of that good stuff. All right, in terms of my background, I'm a native of the San Diego area, born and raised in the South Bay, actually. So elementary school, junior high, which I guess these days now it's middle school, and of course a high school. I'm a graduate of Hilltop High, was all in the National City and Chula Vista regions. After I graduated from Hilltop, went on to UCSD where my master's is in anthropology, and then for San Diego State, my master's is in Latin American studies. In terms of my teaching interests, the topics I like to cover, I really enjoy covering this class because I really enjoy getting into Mesoamerica. So we'll have a lot of coverage of the Maya, the Aztecs, the Toltecs, Teotihuacan, the Olmecs. I wish at some point in time I could do the pre-Columbian class, because that's actually on the books here at Mesa College, but hasn't been taught too many times in the past few years. But hopefully, if there's a demand for it in the not too distant future, then I definitely like to get my hands on that class and spend a lot more time talking about the Aztecs, the Maya, the Toltecs, and get into some other cultures too that maybe this class won't have time for, whether it's the Tarascans, the Totonacs, the Chichimeca populations from the north, the people of El Tajín, those regions. A lot of the smaller cultures that you don't hear about in the news compared to the Aztecs and the Mayas. So if down the road that there's a chance that I can do the pre-Columbia class, I'll definitely put a bid to take that class on. As for other topics, U.S. history, I love covering the mid-19th century. So Manifest Destiny and the U.S.-Mexico War, which we'll be finishing off with when we get into the first part of March. I love that topic. I spend a lot of time on it, and it's something that I cover across the board, not just here, but in my Grossmont classes, both the early U.S. and the California history class. And in terms of modern topics, the 20th century U.S., I really like getting into into labor themes, especially popular culture, in terms of how people like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison were popular national figures. You know, much like business people like Steve Jobs and Donald Trump, Tim Cook with Apple, and also to a lesser extent Steve Ballmer, the guy with Microsoft, who of course is now the crazy owner of the Clippers. How those guys are popular national figures too. Bill Gates too, another one. I like to get into that in my modern United States history class, and also with respect to art and culture. I'm really interested in focusing in on the music of the era, such as jazz. So whether it's Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, John Coltrane, and Lester Young, all of those people, Billie Holiday, that definitely, Ella Fitzgerald, I get into that in my Grossmont class too, and of course the artwork of people like Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo. Unfortunately, I don't have time to get into those people in this class, but if you join me in the fall for the 141B class, I've got a large unit about the work of Diego Rivera, and to a lesser extent his wife Frida Kahlo. And let's see. I mentioned that I was born and raised native of the South Bay, but I don't live in that area anymore. I moved out of National City almost 2.5 years ago, and I'm just up the road here in Riverside County. So I'm in a little community called the French Valley, which is roughly north of Temecula, east of Murrieta, southwest of Hemet, and west of Lake Skinner. So for those of you who travel, who travel to places like Hemet, San Jacinto, Moreno Valley, those places, and you're familiar with the 79 from Temecula in toward Hemet and Winchester, roughly about a third of the way from Temecula to Hemet, right off the 79, right by where that little airport is in the hill overlooking the Temecula Valley. So I'm in that area. So even though it's definitely a far cry in terms of geography, geology, culturally compared to National City, I really enjoy being out here, and by me doing mostly online classes, I don't have to worry too much about having the long commute. I've been doing a lot of the online classes mostly since the 2006 2007 school year. So I've gradually, my focus has been more and more online since then, even before I left National City. But being out here in Riverside County definitely helps not to worry too much about the commute. But I still enjoy teaching on-campus classes. I do usually maybe one class per the calendar year. So I did this class on campus 2 years ago, and I did the Southwestern College 141 class, which is the equivalent for this class, at their National City campus last year. So it was definitely quite an interesting experience being back in my old stomping grounds teaching class there at National City. I'm not on campus any place this semester, but most likely I wouldn't be surprised if I'm back if I'm back on campus somewhere, whether it's Mesa or Southwestern coming up in the fall semester. All right, let me talk a few things about my outside interests: sports, music, pets. So let's start with sports. And you might be wondering, Professor, what's that getup you have there? That looks like one of those crazy soccer uniforms from the English Premier League or La Liga or the Bundesliga, the one from Germany. It's actually a hockey jersey. It's the Washington Capitals. So if you guys can see that, okay. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the National Hockey League. I have been for 25 years. My favorite teams are the Red Wings and the Ducks. I've been following the Ducks ever since they started in Anaheim back about 22 years ago. Haven't been to any games in Anaheim for about 6 years, but I still watch them on TV. The place I do go to quite a regular basis to see games about once a year or every other is Detroit. I saw a couple of games back in November at the Joe Louis Arena, and I'm actually going back to Detroit in a couple of months, actually in 3 months over in April. I'm going to go see the exhibit with Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo at the Detroit Art Museum. So if the Red Wings are playing during the playoffs, that's going to be in late April, I'll try to sneak in and check out one of those games there. Other sports, baseball. I like the Tigers and the Dodgers, so of course those of you who are Padres fans probably aren't too happy. Excuse me. You're not too happy about that. I know some of my high school friends that I still keep in contact with aren't too happy about that, but they've kind of forgiven me and said, okay, Oscar, we'll let that go. But as long as you're not a Raiders fan, then we won't ban you from any more Hilltop class reunion activities. Speaking of the Raiders in football, but the only team that I really follow is the Lions. I like the progression they've made over the past couple of years, especially this past season. I was disappointed that they didn't get by the Cowboys with that disputed call, or non-call or pass interference, whatever the call was. But I think their culture has changed with Coach Caldwell and his guys. So hoping for bigger and better things from Los Leones coming up this fall. And basketball. I used to like basketball quite a bit when I was much younger. I used to love the Clippers when they actually played at the old sports arena, which I guess these days is now the Valley View Casino Arena Center, whatever it is. It's still a bit of a dumpy place. It has been for a long time. But I like the Clippers now. I like the path that they've had in the past few years. The success of Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, Jamal Crawford, and of course, and Coach Rivers has definitely made them an elite team. So I'll watch a few games per season, but I still think back to the old days when me and my dad actually saw a few games back at the sports arena, way back when guys like World B. Free and Sven Nader were playing. So those of you who are familiar with basketball history from the late 70s, early 80s, look those guys up, and you'll know that we're talking about going way back in time. All right, so that's me in terms of sports, music. I mentioned a little bit of what I covered in the Grossmont class, but I'll get to that in a second. But since I'm a product of the 1980s, of course, all the big hard rock, heavy metal bands that were popular, whether it was Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, I still listen to those guys, Rush, and I like the 1970s bands too. So whether it's Steely Dan, Alan Parsons Project, the Eagles, Deep Purple, early Aerosmith. Thin Lizzy, then I like all that stuff too. But over the past couple of years, I've had more of an interest in terms of jazz, especially the stuff from the late 40s into the 1950s. So stuff like like John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Thelonious Monk, into Stan Getz and the rise of the Dave Brubeck, the rise of the cool jazz or the West Coast jazz scene. That's the era I really enjoy quite a bit, from the late 40s to the early to mid 1960s. Okay. Oh, last but not least, last thing to say about myself in terms of pets. I do have some feline pals. I have 2 Persian cats and one big white domestic short hair. He's my old boy. He'll be 16 in a few months. And in some of the videos that I have already queued up in the class from previous semesters, a lot of the videos I've done outside. So you'll get to see my boy Nick is his name, cause all kinds of mischief and mayhem. And I'm sure when I make newer videos for this class, you'll probably see him causing trouble as well. And there's a Cocker Spaniel too, a 10-year-old male named Churro. You know, much that is. Yeah, that's right. Just like the pastry, like the bread with a cinnamon sugar you get at a Disneyland or the Del Mar Fair or the feria if you go to Tijuana or Tecate for the ferias there. My sister was the one who named him, and the name's kind of stuck because he's got that sandy color that in essence looks like has the color of what a churro looks like. Excuse me. Okay, I'm starting to lose my voice a bit, everybody, so that means that it's time for El Profesor to start wrapping up this video. So that's it. That's all I want to say about myself in terms of who I am, my background, my interests. Like I said, information about the class itself I'll have for you in a separate video, which will be coming out with tomorrow, with Thursday morning's announcement. So again, this is going to be a video about the class that are recorded for this class in the fall semester. So most of the videos that we'll have in here will either be new videos like the one that you're seeing right now, or older videos from previous semesters, most of them from the fall, some of them from last spring, from spring of 2014. So there'll be pretty good balance in terms of videos, but for all intents and purposes, these are all fairly new videos, so you're not going to see any videos of me from graduate school in which I look like, I don't know, a rock and roll guy, Howard Stern, or anybody like that. So I'm not going to give any videos in which I look, I don't know, like 20 or 30 years younger or anything of that age. So all these videos are fairly new, fairly fresh. They've been recorded, whether it's this semester or within the past year and a half. And again, keep introducing yourself in the discussion board. This coming weekend, I will start reading and replying to all of you. Don't forget that this week, now you know which discussion groups you're in, so it's next week, toward the end of next week, where Group 1 gets going and starts posting their comments in Forum 1. And the first quiz is going to be coming up at the end of the week. So more details about all of that stuff coming up in the next 2 days with the latest announcements. All right, so that's me. That's El Profesor. I mean, I'm really anxious to be with you guys for these next 8, or I guess I should say now 7.5 weeks. So any questions or concerns about anything, check with me with Messages for Professor in Blackboard. So start using that from now on instead of my Grossmont College email. It's better that all your communications are kept within Blackboard itself. So get in the habit of using that. I'm going to have regular online office hours starting next Thursday. So they'll be in the evenings from roughly about 8 to 9:30 p.m. or 8:30 to 10 p.m. So sometime in the 8:30 or even 7:30 time from every Thursday, I'll have the chat session open in which you can check in with me about any concerns or questions you might have about the class. And with that, I think that's it. So that's all I really need to say for now. I'm really happy to be with you guys these next few weeks, and I'll see you guys again very soon with many more videos, whether it's newer videos or older videos. I'll have a lot more of that for the next few weeks.